welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Well, we're going to highlight the Connecticut Virtuosi Chamber Orchestra, and I have the pleasure of having Adrienne Sylvine, the artistic director, here in the studio, and Emily Tate Daniel, a singer with the orchestra as well, but she is via Zoom. So I have two wonderful guests today, and I hope that you enjoy the show. I'm thrilled to bring them both to you. And Adrienne and Emily, thank you both so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Likewise, thank you.
And Adrienne, we were spending a lot of time before we started taping. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Take us into your background.
Okay, well, my name is Adrienne Sylvine, and I started music making, if you wish, since a very early age. I was actually 5 years and 8 months when I went for my first violin lesson in a music school, long place from here and long time ago. And long story short, I got here somewhat accidentally because I got a scholarship at Yale School of Music. I spent a few years there in my early 20s. And then the orchestra was sort of the offshoot of my fascination, a result of my fascination with conducting in all aspects of music making, which I discovered were way broader than just violin playing. You know, I enjoy violin playing, and I did this for a living for a long time. And I still do. But the conducting was something that I just had to be more involved. I loved theater. I grew up in a place where there were 7 theater companies. There was Opera House, Comedy Theater, Dramatic, National, and so forth and so forth. So we would always go as students in Poland to one of those things. We always would sneak into the audience somehow and see the show. So theater was part of my sort of maturing, growing up, and I was fascinating with not only with the theater but also with the power of stage and power of drama that sort of transforms us as a society, because I've seen that, and I've seen that in the real life sort of process and result. So I started the orchestra in 1997. Then I became a co-founder of the opera company soon after that. That led me to conducting several titles. And here I am, basically trying to continue to do my work. Still fascinated with every production is new, even if it's a repeated production, it's new singers, new time, new scenery, maybe new stage director, what have you. And so forth. So that's who I am. I'm still a very curious George in the overall music making. I picked up now my studies at Juilliard School in the composition. I enjoy that very much, and it's a fascinating process. It's still I enjoy it every moment of it.
Now, you were mentioning yourself as growing up as a violin player and still playing violin, and then moving over also to conducting. Which one do you like better, or do you like them both?
Well, that is a very cruel question. So
okay.
not because when I play violin, I'm obviously very much involved with that, and then when I conduct, that is my thing. So, I think we have to be focused at the moment. And that has to prevail, and that has to sort of, you can't conduct and think, oh, I'd rather play violin, or the other way. It just doesn't work that way. So these are both worlds, and I wish I had 7 lives to enjoy them,
Okay, and Emily, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Why don't you introduce yourself as well? Tell us about your background.
Sure. So growing up, my first memory of singing was when I was about, I think, 4 years old. My mom had me stand on the kitchen table for my grandmother and the song Tomorrow from the musical Annie. I was always very musical, and my mother was very musical as well. So I grew up participating in community theater, participating in my middle school and high school musicals and choirs. And I was originally going to pursue musical theater as my primary performing career, and then my voice teacher said, you really have an operatic voice. Your voice is very suited for classical music. I really think that you should change your major to classical voice performance, and you should give this a go. So I did, and now, 14 years later, I'm still here pursuing the dream. I've been really fortunate to go to some amazing schools. I went to Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore, and I also did my postgraduate work at San Francisco Conservatory. And I've been really fortunate to work with some amazing companies, like Opera San Jose, Long Island Opera, Asheville Lyric Opera. And now, of course, I get to work with Adrian and his team. And I got to spend a month in Italy this summer performing and working on my Italian language and just working on my musicianship. And it's been a really rewarding experience.
I'll also ask you about your background. Did you know, you were mentioning when you were young that you started to sing. Did you know when you were young that you were going to be a singer?
Yes, there's a home video of me when I think I must have been 7 or 8, and my sisters and I, we were putting on a show. So that's what we like to do, is we would dress up and we'd put on a show. And this one, we were finishing up with a tea party. And so my grandfather says, "All right, girls, who's the star?" And I say, I'm the star. And I think I've known always that performing was just something that I was born to do. It's within me, and I don't think that I would be me if I wasn't performing.
Adrian, tell us about your season. I understand you started the orchestra in 1997. What does it take for you to put a season together?
It's a more than a year in advance preparation process, because obviously you have to conceptualize it. Let's say you want to do this and that and why, and there's a theme or there's an idea or there's a reason for whatever we decide to do. Then you have to imagine the realization of it. I mean, you need to know what the orchestration is. You need to know what the budget would be. You need to know which venues you're going to show it in, and all these preparations have to be done in advance. Venues then have to, of course, publicize it and run with it, and that becomes sort of a shared property. So it's a long process. You can't. I mean, of course, you can organize a concert in a very short time, but that's not a season. And we have been doing it for a fairly long time, and even now it's probably the hardest part, because the decisions we make a year prior or even more, they have to be accurate enough and they have to be thought through enough so they are right a year and a half later, let's say. And sometimes you don't know what happened. I mean, sometimes some other situations happen and it doesn't fit, but for the most part, that's the process.
And what does a season look like for you? You had mentioned opera. What do you perform during your season?
Okay, so right now with Emily and our other colleagues, we're going to be performing Pagliacci by Leoncavallo. And this project is coming actually straight from Italy. Emily mentioned that she was there in Italy for a month. We were presenting 4 performances of Pagliacci there in Italy for Italian audience. We also, with that, we've done all our staging work, we've done our costume work, we've done all the work that is sort of a background of the theater. So all that is coming here, and we will be recreating the same production, or as close as we can, with our colleagues here. We had 3 out of 5 cast members coming from Italy. Unfortunately, one of them had a medical emergency, but still 2 cast members, Emily and another singer, will be originally from Italy. The others who were in Europe were from other places. We find our colleagues here who know the roles, and they can come in and be part of the production. So we are looking forward to working with them. And so that will be now on November 26th. We are at the Gard Arts Center. November 28th, we are in Middletown, and we are in Hartford on the November 30th. So that is the most, the soonest, the earliest production that we have. We go after that. We have a concert in New York City with the operetta, light opera repertoire. That's at the Queen's Performing Arts Center, Queen's College Performing Arts Center, and that is on December 14. And then, like the rest of the world, or musical world, we're gonna do some holiday singing and playing and presenting. We have concerts at CCSU, Central Connecticut State University, New Britain. Then we have friends from Italy coming, and we're gonna do a project with them in March. So half of the orchestra is American, and half of them are coming from Italy, and that orchestra, the chamber orchestra of Contrapunto, is coming. So we'll be doing something that combines those 2 groups. And then the second opera production will happen probably in May, in June. I don't want to reveal the name of that production. It will not be what we have on the website. That will probably change, but what it is, we will announce very, very soon. We are working on it as we speak, because there's a change in a season. So that's more or less what it looks like. There will be other things, but these are the major ones.
Okay. Well, I want to just take a moment, and we'll take a break. Let's hold that thought. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You're tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break, and of course, we'll be right back.
One of the most common cons this time of year is the utility scam. A bad actor may call or text you claiming to be with the utility company and threaten to turn off your electricity, saying you haven't paid your bill. They may also try to steal your money and sensitive personal information through a fake home energy assessment. This ruse often includes a phony credit check, which requires you to hand over your banking information and even your social security number. They may claim they can save you money on your energy bills if you buy their discounted equipment, but all you'll get is a big credit card bill. Always check with your utility company before letting someone into your home. Even if they're wearing credentials, they may be fake. Also, utility companies won't call or text you out of the blue threatening to turn off the lights. And while they do energy assessments, you have to set them up ahead of time. They don't just send people knocking on doors. For more information on how to protect yourself, visit Better Business Bureau at bbb.org. And to report a scam, visit bbb.org/scam-tracker.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you. We are talking about the Connecticut Virtuosi Chamber Orchestra and a lot of other things besides that. And Emily, what I wanted to ask you is, what would you characterize yourself as a singer? Is it just an opera singer? Adrian had mentioned a theater singer. What would you classify yourself as?
So I'm a soprano. I'm definitely on the full lyric side of the soprano spectrum, you know, moving into more dramatic repertoire. And I really enjoy the acting of, you know, of the opera singing. That's something that I really connect to in this role of Nedda. She's a really fiery character. She's very passionate, and there's a lot to really sink your teeth into here. And so this is a great role for me because I'm able to really push myself to sing at my highest level, but to also just leave it all on stage and just really tap into my dramatic sensibilities.
Now, I have a lot of performers that watch the program. What would your advice be to singers who would like to pursue a path like you? You had mentioned a very prestigious path that you have taken. What would your advice be for somebody who'd like to get started?
Great question. I would say I think you really have to fall in love with the process of singing and the work of singing and preparing a role, because it's so amazing to get the chance to perform with opera companies and orchestras, and it's amazing to get up there and do what you've been working so long and so hard to do. But that is really the very tip of the iceberg. You really have so much work that goes into it before that. And so that's why I would say you really have to love practicing. I love working on my voice for a couple hours a day, 6 days a week. That's really, I have a routine, I have a system. So I'm practicing singing and technical work, 2 hours a day. And then in addition to that, you're working on your languages, you're watching videos of opera performances, you're listening to videos, and you're just trying to absorb it. And so, there's so much that goes into a performance. And since the performance is really, the cherry on top, you have to fall in love with everything else, and you have to give yourself over to the process. And if you're able to do that, then, I really think that you'll be successful and you'll have a very fulfilling career.
We had mentioned before we started taping about the website, the virtuosi.org. What would the viewer find when they go and visit it?
Well, they will probably see what we do. They will see the calendar of events that we plan. They can read about musicians that are part of our group. There's a lot of history there as well. I'm one of these people that I like to hoard information sometimes. So if you read again, you will find a lot of stuff about what we've done in the past. It's concert or performance, theater play, it happens and it's done. So what remains is the record of it, and the record of it is, in my opinion, in two forms. The one is the physical record of it. It's some like it happened and it is recorded, whether it's a video or a program or indeed a website record or what have you. But the other thing is what stays with us, and that's the emotional record of it. And for me, if you think about general, I very often speak about general concept of beauty, which surrounds us and we don't see it, even architectural elements or things like that. But the theater is certainly a very refined version of the same. Is the reflection of ourselves. You go to the theater and you live through some, the same with the concert, but on a more abstract level. I don't want to differentiate it or put the music down. But it's an experience which should click with us. We should see ourselves. We see ourselves on stage when the play, opera or theater, straight theater, whatever, if the person or the situation or something is part of our experience, and we relive it. And the best examples are indeed like La Bohème or Traviata. But what we're trying to do with Pagliacci is not far-fetched from that. It's very verismo, which is very real. And I think we all can sympathize with this on that person. Right? We have Tonio, who has emotions, but is not very well. He's not fortunate enough to be able to realize them in the most graceful way. We have a very jealous husband who cannot understand the wife that is trying to have a life. And these are all things that if you look around your circles, you will find it. It's right there. And that's what the good theater does. On many ways. I mean, this is not just not just verismo opera, but I'm talking about any great theater that we must experience.
And again, I also have many performers that would like to perform in an orchestra such as yours. How would they be able to present themselves to you for consideration?
Well, musicians can always call us and apply. We have indeed a lot of people who do so. There's always a trial period, which is a few months that we have to see how the person fits in the group. It's not, you can be a great musician, you can be a great singer, but if you're not a good colleague, you're gonna destroy the process, and that process is essential, you know, to prepare anything. The process, which Emily was talking so wonderfully about, is something that is the essence of it all. It's not just, okay, there is a show. We have to get to that, because to create your own image takes time.
Emily, how do you find your next job, if you will? That's probably not the right thing to say. I don't mean to be derogatory, if you will, but how do you find the next thing that you would like to do to grow yourself as an artist?
Sure. So there are different websites that list upcoming auditions, and so as singers, we can submit ourselves for these auditions. So, you know, a lot of what we do, like when Adrian was talking about the different records that you make is, you know, we do a lot of recordings, so that way we can submit recordings for consideration to other companies. And then if the company is interested, they'll invite you to come audition. So many times that is in New York, which is, you know, a very convenient central hub for a lot of singers. And then other times you will go to their opera house or their rehearsal space, and you'll audition in their space. So, you know, auditioning really is really a lot of the job. And so it's something that you learn to enjoy. You learn to think of it as a mini performance that you're doing for a small group of people, you know, on a random weekday, and then you leave and you hope that you'll get to sing for them again.
How do you, Adrian, decide your season? Are there certain things that you like to do? Have you thought about 2026, even into 2027?
Oh yes, and we also have situations in which, for example, we performed a performance, and we already have a hint of invitation for next year, 2 years from now, or 3 years from now in some cases. And then the discussion is, okay, well, let's take an example. We did the opera in South Dakota. So what will be the next possible engagement there? They really liked what we've done, so now is the planning process. That's a dialogue. Because it has to fit certain criteria. They might not be the same criteria as now, but the discussions are taking place already. Yes, absolutely. But I wanted to say something that add something to what Emily said about the auditions and sort of, you know, there's a at least from my perception, when I listen to anybody, singers or musicians, I already mentioned that it's how can I work with the person? That's my first criteria. They can have a wonderful voice and wonderful presentation, but if they present some hint of difficulty, then that's no go. On the other hand, I have to say this, that audition process is very often a process of seeking partnerships. So when I listen to this to colleagues, they're already my colleagues, and it is not, okay, will I hire that person, will I not hire that person? It's, can we together create something? And in that sense, it's a for those, if people are fearful of the process, they will fail. If they sort of go into that process saying, okay, here I am, and let's see what happens, they probably will do well, because we all need others to make it work. That's the difference. You asked me before, violin, conducting, and so forth. Violin is a very lonely process. You are with the instrument, and you're alone in the room. Conducting or building a performance, or building the theater play, it's a very, very social process. Yeah.
Okay, Emily, we're just about to run out of time. I'm going to give you the last closing thought. Any closing thought for the viewer before we go?
So I would say, if you love TV, like if you love dramatic TV shows like The Morning Show or Scandal, you will love Pagliacci, and you'll love the rest of opera that just presents, that pairs fantastic dramatic stakes with incredible music. So you should definitely check out the orchestra season, and you should come see us for Pagliacci later this month.
Okay, well, Adrian and Emily, I want to thank you both so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure, and I thank you so very much for your time and all the very best and success in what you're doing.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I'm Deborah Gilbert, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed the show. In case you need to reach me, I'm at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day, and again, as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.